Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Fed Atlantic Studios, your host, Joel, that's me, and that guy, or some guy, depending on who you call, Ed.
Thank you, Prince Akeem. I just want Alex to take note of this and make sure we have something similar for six man all other saying it because I beat five other man for it. So yeah, sorry.
Winners win. Winners get crowns and that. Next year might be a title. Who knows? If I win this year as well, yeah, I have to have a title
The
because I can't do
undisputed.
2 crowns. Yeah, you can't do 2 crowns and all that. But yeah, how's your off season been, Ed?
Yes, right. We got Trevor Lawrence.
Mm,
We had the Euros. Obviously, we watched the final together, which was an interesting experience.
interesting,
Who knows whenever England will ever be in that position again? But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we're hoping Qatar and that, but
How was your off season? Did you get up to much? Oh yeah, you of
um.
course had a little bit of a
Yeah, so our American football season started. Finally, yeah, good to get back to that. After a year off, and then I get like injured in the third game. So, so there's that. Was it fourth game? In the fourth game. So I'm currently on the mend. But I'll be back for next season hopefully. No, but other than that, NFL wise, we dropped our second best pass rusher. Let's say, as in what in the linebacker core. But we build and replace. It wasn't too bad. Obviously, there were some people that we didn't get, like JJ Watt, which I was hoping for, because complete the Watt trio. But when you think about how much money has to be spent in the coming years for us on the players we've drafted, it's only right. It's only right.
with the season starting up next week. Well, on Friday or Thursday, they start. Again, depending where you are, it could start on a Thursday or Friday. Should we do some predictions for the playoffs? Who's going to make the playoffs? So obviously we got the four divisional winners and then the three wildcard teams. Let's start off in the AFC.
Yeah.
So as we know, there's going to be 18 or 17 games now, sorry. And there is obviously the additional wildcard team that was introduced last year. Out of the 7 playoff teams I've got this year, I've got 2 newbies compared to last year. And I'll go through my 1 to 7 seeding. And I'll start with 7. No, how do you want to do it? Do you want to do divisional winners or we'll do divisional winners?
Do divisional winners. Do divisional winners.
So, AFC West, I have got Kansas City. Do we need to discuss this much?
No, like I have that too. Chalk it in for both of us. Chiefs are going to the playoffs. There's no way. I'll tell you this now. There is no way the Chiefs do not make the playoffs this year. 100%.
Yeah,
that's like one of the coldest takes ever, surely.
And then we've got AFC East. I have got the Bills.
Once again, Well, to be fair, Patriots have now cut Cam. So what they got? The second coming of Tom Brady. They're looking like. They're saying this is not because of obviously a skill level, but they're able to run the same offense with Brady as they did with Brady and Jones, as opposed to obviously Cam. So yeah, I put Bills in there.
We may discuss Patriots a little bit later when it comes to wild card. AFC South, I've got Titans.
AFC South, Titans. You didn't even want to go with your homeboy Jags. Not even.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. I've got Titans.
There's no you got Titans, but there's no way. There's no way. Whatever you're gonna say later.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to it later.
I'm gonna say Titans. They win the division.
Cool. Okay. And then, of course, your AFC North. I think this is where we may differ. We spoke a little bit off air just about what we thought about this division in general. I've gone for the Browns.
Yeah, everyone is high on the Browns this year. Because people weren't high on them a couple of years ago when they kind of snuck in. They were just building, according to loads of people, but they thought they weren't playoff ready. And then since then, they've been hitting the playoffs every year. So now the hot pick is Browns. But I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Okay.
I'm not going to go Steelers, even though I want to. But I'm going to try and be as non-biased as possible. The Ravens have kept the majority of their core. J.K. Dobbins went down, which is unfortunate. Yeah. But for the plan, I think Lamar is better than the Browns. The Browns may have better receiver weapons.
And their defense. The Browns defense love their defense, especially with Myles Garrett.
Pass rush The Browns' pass rush is insane. But I think the Ravens are more of a solid team, whereas the Browns are kind of an up and down team. But they yeah.
Cool. Well, okay, cool. So the only real difference we have is that you've gone for the Ravens. I got the Browns. I do also have the Ravens getting into being one of the wild card teams. So I mean, whatever. And the two playoff teams I've got this year that weren't in the playoffs last year, I have got the Chargers and the Patriots. So those are my two wild card teams. My two other wild card teams alongside the Ravens. So I've got Chargers, Patriots, and Ravens going into the wild card.
Okay, for a bit of let's go East Coast bias, I don't have too much faith in the Chargers. Definitely not the Raiders, and the Broncos aren't doing anything. The Jets, however, they have suckered a few people in this preseason because of what Zach Wilson has been able to do. Yeah, but let's not forget it's the Jets. The Patriots, obviously scary. Bill's now made the decision on his quarterback. So I think with Cam Newton, there's no way they make the playoffs. I don't know why, but they just don't. The Dolphins, I think, somehow end up bottom of that division.
What? They're favorites. A lot of people have them winning the division. Oh, not winning the division because the Bills are there. A lot of them haven't made the playoffs.
I feel like the Patriots can upset them, but then I feel like the Jets is. I think they're still the Jets, so they have the chance to really kill me here, but for some reason I'm higher on them than the Bills. I mean the
Dolphins.
The Dolphins, yes.
Okay.
My wild cards are going to be the Steelers.
Yeah.
I think because remember, if the way it's been done, there's been 3 AFC North teams put in alive for the last 4 years in the last week.
That's a bit much.
No, not making it in. They've just been alive in the final week.
The Browns had until Baker came. It was how long has Baker been in the league? What, 3 years?
Yeah.
So 2-3 years. 2-3 years. There's been 3 potential teams.
No, because the last 2 years, all 3 of them were alive.
Yeah, exactly. Last 2 or 3 years.
The year before that, it was alive, but only 2 of them made it. So the two.
Just get to it.
Either way, I think the Steelers make it, but for some reason, I want to say the Colts.
Okay. Yeah, no, Colts isn't a bad shout. No Browns?
I want to say the Browns, but that's too many teams. It's going to be either the Browns or the Colts, I feel.
So what's your 3 wildcard teams? You got Steelers, Colts.
I've got 3 wildcards. The Steelers, Colts. No, then it's either Browns or Patriots. I'm going to go Browns.
Okay.
Every Mac is going to be good. He's going to be an improvement for their whole scheme and system, but I think he's got one more step potentially.
Cool. So interestingly, I'm not high on the Colts. I know the Colts are second for the AFC South, which I don't think means much. Yeah. I'm just really confused about what's going on with their team. I have no idea what's happening with Carson Wentz. Is he in? Is he out? What's his injury status saying? And then the offensive line, which is their prized asset, seems to be a little bit nicked up at the moment. They do still have a great defense. The thing with defense is that, well, I did just say Browns have got an amazing defense, but defenses can sometimes be a bit on and off because it's so hard to be consistently good at defense every year. 3-4 years ago,
17 weeks.
Pardon? 3-4 years ago, the best defense in the league was like the Vikings and the Jags when they had Saxonville, and then who else had a great defense those years? Oh, there was someone else. Even Seattle had a great defense. Well, as you know, they were probably rebuilding then, but it's so tricky to have a consistent defense year on year. So the 4 teams I had on the bubble just missing out were Miami, the Steelers, Denver, and dare I say, I had Jacksonville winning.
On the bubble.
Here's the thing, right? I was looking at their schedule. Out of the 17 teams that they're playing, only 7 of them I've got making to the playoffs. Yeah. So they've got 10 games. I feel, again, this is my playoff predictions. I've got 10 teams I think the Jags are playing who are not in the playoffs. So I'm like, you know what? They could rattle off a couple games again. This is maybe just being a bit optimistic early season, like just what Arsenal fans do to themselves. I'm not doing this as a Jags fan, but I reckon they could get a couple little wins here and there. But yeah, they're just. I'm not saying they're going to make it. They're just in the bubble. They're just there. They're just in the mid table, let's say. But yeah, I had Steelers, Denver, Miami, and Jacksonville there. But okay, so we've got a couple differences. You've got the Steelers, Colts getting in, whereas I've got the Chargers and the Patriots. I like that little difference that we've got going
I
on
think the
there.
Steelers they changed just enough because obviously we saw the collapse last year, but they changed just enough.
And also, do you know what I noticed? You picked exactly the same 7 playoff teams this year as went through in the AFC last year.
No,
So
I
it's
didn't have the
exactly
Browns.
this.
Did I have the Browns? I did have the Browns. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly the
it's
same.
exactly the same 7 because I had on my notes the 2 teams I've got coming in this year are Chargers and Patriots, and the 2 teams going out are Steelers and Colts, which is who you both have. Cool. Okay. So we've got some differences there. I like that.
Slid through the backside.
Cool. Now we move on to the NFC, which I thought the AFC was a little bit deeper, but the top of the NFC I feel was a little bit stronger. I don't know. Just when I was looking, it was a bit like
yeah, it's been the same as last year. The level of the level of the NFC top teams is crazy, absolutely crazy. However, their bottom half is a real bottom half. Like it's teams that you may not even have a winning record. So that's how it balances out.
I had a couple weird teams on the bubble. I have 2 really weird teams on the bubble. So for NFC, NFC West, I have got the Rams. I think just the Rams are going to be a different beast this year. They've got arguably 2 of the best defensive players in the league. So that's just pure talent compared to being a whole unit. And they had a major upgrade at quarterback. I really feel pleased for Matt Stafford. The only annoying thing is that past 2 years, I was actively rooting against the Rams because we have their draft picks. And it's annoying that I can't do that anymore. But if they are going to win, cool. We do have a certain Mr. FSU guy who's from Tennessee coming back to Jacksonville this year. So that will be interesting to see what happens there. But anyway, I've got the Rams winning the NFC West.
I'm going to say the same. The 49ers QB situation is really what would flip it. Kyler taking another step up in the Cardinals. In fact, they have a lot of good players. I think we will talk about them later. But really and truly, the Rams is if Stafford is who everyone thinks he is and just happened to be in Detroit, they win. They win. If he comes out of Detroit and still has Detroit in him, it's finished.
NFC South, I've got the Bucks.
You got oof. I mean, 100%. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no argument here.
I was a bit confused. Yeah, you were oofing and ahhing. I was like, really?
No, 100%. Jameis has finally been QB number 1. Jameis, if he comes on a revenge tour, that is going to be their Achilles heel. But that is it. Literally, that's the only thing stopping them. Jameis.
We may get to Jameis a little bit later. NFC North, I have got the Green Bay Packers.
It would be so disrespectful for you to pick anyone else.
Yeah.
The fact that Fields is not the QB1 for the week 1 for the Bears lets you know all you need to know about their hopes. The Lions are still the Lions. The Vikings haven't made that turnaround yet.
No.
And their offense is not looking. They still got Kirk Cousins.
I think they're regretting that whole Kirk Cousins stuff.
He's a solid QB, and that's it. He is just a solid QB at best. When he's on his top form, he's a solid QB, and everyone else does well. But they don't do amazing. They don't do great. When they come up against the great teams, they know how to beat him for some reason, and that's just it.
NFC East. This one may be a bit different. I have got the Cowboys winning this division.
I think the Cowboys are not winning a damn thing.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, I think Washington make it again, because the Danny Dimes ain't doing nothing. Jalen might take a step up or he might not, but the Eagles are the Eagles. The Cowboys, once again, are the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You'll have all your hope in them. They'll get that back. You'll think it's amazing, but then something always happens.
I just love their weapons they got on offense. I just think they got just some amazing players on offense that could get them a bunch of points, and defense has been their biggest struggle for a while. You're hoping Michael Parsons and that linebacker unit will really spearhead and make a difference there.
Micah Parsons has been the only real change. Obviously, they have Diggs as well, but Micah Parsons has been the only real change. When we went up against them in our preseason, with no one, like literally, if no one good, no one good, we still won, and they didn't look great.
Nothing I want to say
Dwayne,
about. Go on, sorry,
Dwayne
go.
Haskins looks, Dwayne Haskins looked good against them. Josh Dobbs, who currently does not have a team, looks good against them. Mason Rudolph looked good against them.
Josh Dobbs will end up on the Steelers one way. He always ends up on the Steelers.
Yeah, but he might take a year out again. You took him last year on
Yeah.
like a loan program, then he came back and still didn't make the team. So
He just wants some sunshine. He just wants to be near the beach, I'm assuming.
But
when I,
teams just look good against them. Hard Knocks, they're obviously playing up for the cameras, but they keep losing these matches, and that's it.
I I think part of it, or not part of it for me, but there always tends to be a Hard Knocks bias when you do watch a team. Like I think a lot of the betting odds you see, then they push it for whoever was on the team because you think they're good. I think you can say the same thing for actually. It's going to be an interesting comparison. You could say similar thing for when Spurs' All or Nothing documentary came up because you saw it and you're like, oh my gosh, Mourinho is just like an amazing guy, etc. This team's just
Their
amazing.
team looks
blah
so
blah
good
blah.
on that doc. We saw the season.
But then, yeah, exactly. So that's the doc makes it sometimes look better than it is. But then it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year when the Arsenal one comes out because, that is going to be some mad PR if they make it look better than the season turns out. But
I think
bit of a tangent.
Was split into two minds, low key. But we could talk about that another time.
But yeah. Going back
onto
that division. So as I said to you just before, I looked at every schedule, etc., and I had the Cowboys winning quite a few games, and I was like, why is this? So I looked at their strength of schedule. The Cowboys have got the second easiest schedule, and Washington have got a semi-first place schedule because they won the division. And I'm not the biggest believer in Washington. Again, Fitzpatrick, he's not going to keep up for it. They got Taylor Heineke as well, but I'm not necessarily up on their QB situation. And I was listening to Warren Sharp earlier on this week, and he was talking about how when Washington just absolutely destroyed the really shit teams last year, and that's where they got a lot of their wins, and they've got less of those coming in. They had really bad pass offenses and just offenses in general at the stretch last year, which is why they were able to win all those games. This year, that's completely different. So they got a much harder schedule. I do trust in Ron Rivera, but I just don't trust overall in that Washington franchise.
Yeah. Please do not mistake it for me having faith in Washington.
No.
I just don't have faith in anyone else in that division at all. So really, it's picking a name out of the hat, and I like
Washington.
I like Chase Young. So here we go, Washington.
Cool.
I think Chase Young has made a bigger impact than Micah will, and their offense. It's just something will happen in the second half of the season. It just always does for the Cowboys.
One thing on the Eagles that you mentioned Eagles earlier. I was also looking. So the Eagles have got the easiest strength of schedule for the season. And I was looking at some of their fixtures and I was confused because they had the easiest strength of schedule, but I didn't have them winning too many games. I was looking at over all their games, and it's because I feel it could be a massive boom or bust. And the reason I say this is because all their tricky games are at home and all their easier so-called opposition are away. At home, they've got the Saints, Bucks, Chiefs, Chargers, 49ers, and then away, they've got the Panthers, they've got the Broncos, they've got the Lions, they've got the Raiders, they've got the Jets. So I found that really interesting. Either they could do really well at home and then beat those easier teams away, or they may struggle at home against the really tough teams and then get away and then they play away and then struggle even more. So I found that really interesting how the Eagles have got their schedule like that. But that's just something I spotted. Now, the three wildcard teams, I have got the 49ers, Saints, and the Seahawks. So the 49ers went in last year. That 49ers and my Cowboys are my two new teams in. And Washington and Bears are dropping out. So I've got 49ers, Saints, and Seahawks as my three wildcard teams.
49ers, Saints, Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think, no, Cardinals make it.
Really?
They're more stable than the 49ers, I think, right now.
Okay.
Seahawks obviously make it. They're the best of the rest, shall we say?
I had them on the cusp. I had them on the cusp. I had them as my 7th seed, so they were flipping flopping between the two of my bubble, the Seahawks.
And then the other thing I'm looking at now is it's going to sound so stupid. It's the Saints and the Vikings.
Vikings?
Yeah, for some reason, the Bears. I think the Bears make it in. However, but that is. I don't know whether to put the Bears in. because it's based on when they put in Fields. I think Fields gives them a better chance than Andy Dalton for some reason, even though Andy Dalton is more proven than Fields right now. But I just like Fields' skill set. I don't actually know what they need to see from him to put him in at QB number one, at QB1, sorry. But I think it's reliant on. Does he make it past week 6? Is my question. Does Andy Dalton make it past week 6?
I have no idea, but because it all just depends so much on how the schedule goes and how the
Yeah.
team are performing. But you are hoping he starts sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I th-
100%.
Could it be one of the? I mean, again, we're acting like Justin Fields is going to be like the next best thing and
Yeah.
whatever, which he could be, but he's still only
I
a
think
rookie.
he was, because I still think he was better than well, up until obviously college. I was watching him in high school. I thought Fields was better. In college, obviously, Trevor had the better time. But I don't think Fields should have been the 4th pick QB or whatever he was. Third, well, he was too late.
I mentioned it to you before. I was because obviously we were fucking shit, so I was looking at mock drafts the whole time. And before the Jazz got the number 1 pick, when it was just the Jets at number 1, every single mock draft was
Fields at 2.
Fields at 2, Trevor at 1, Fields at 2. As soon as the Jags got the first pick, everyone's like, well, the Jets could take Zach Wilson or they could take someone else or blah, blah, blah. And I just found it really interesting how that just completely shifted. But yeah, that's just something that I was like, I didn't understand why that was going on. Maybe, I don't know. People smarter than me probably.
Then, yeah, but then also my problem with Saints is Michael Thomas. When does he come back?
He wasn't around for most of last year anyway. And unpopular opinion, I know some people have this opinion as well, but overall it's an unpopular opinion. Jameis this year could be an upgrade over what Drew Brees was giving them last year. Just say.
Yes, but Jameis is definitely an upgrade over Taysom Hill as a pure quarterback. 100%. 100%.
My 3 playoff teams again were 49ers, Saints. Oh, okay, that's what I want to bring up. So you trust the Cardinals more than you trust the 49ers. That is blasphemous. No, 49ers had the biggest injury, the unluckiest with injury last year. And especially their QB and their best defensive player, who are both back now. And I was listening to Warren Sharp was talking a bit about Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan, and how whenever Kyle Shanahan has had a respectable QB, he has won. Most of his career has just been with shitty QBs. But when he's had a respectable QB, he had Nick Mullins and whoever the fuck was their QB last year for a majority of the season, and they still nearly made it. Well, actually, no, they had it. Yeah.
Is it possible? Is it possible that all of the NFC West make the playoffs?
All 4 of them?
All 4 of them.
I'm assuming mathematically it could be possible, because they would have to split all the games between themselves.
They will eliminate each other, surely. Like, that's what I'm
No, but then I guess they would just have to go 3-3 within the division. A couple more losses. Yeah, they could. Yeah, that could make sense. Yeah. I mean, it would be a bold prediction.
It'll be a really bold. Yeah, but they have the best of the rest teams, and then there's the Saints.
You could put 5 on it if you wanted to. Wouldn't be a bad. So yeah, I went 49ers, Saints, Seahawks. You went Cards, Seahawks, Bears. Now,
no, Bears is iffy. Bears is iffy, but I'll go Bears. I'll go Bears for the.
So, I had the 2 teams on my bubble that I was like, could they get in ahead of the Seahawks, because I'm not really trusting the Seahawks too tough. Were the Falcons and the Bears. I reckon the Falcons could get a couple extra wins. I looked at the schedule and I thought, they could pick up a win here. They could pick up a win here, and they ended up just picking up wins, a little bit of wins, but I've still got both the Falcons and Bears being below 500, but it's tougher to pick with these ones.
Yeah, I've literally lost all faith in the Falcons. I have, like, it's deep, I know, because they're not like a terrible team, but I've with Matt Ryan, for some reason they don't like Matt Ryan. It seems like anymore. Like, the people around Atlanta don't like Matt Ryan ever. It seems like that love is dying, if not dead. I think it's dead. I think it's closer to dead than dying, to be honest. And for that, I just don't see it for them. Like I just gloss over them in every prediction. Like they're not even there. But I know they're not a terrible team. But it just feels like they're not going to be that team.
So the difference for you from last year in the playoffs and this year is that you have got the Saints dropping out and the Cardinals coming into the playoffs. I have got Washington and Chicago dropping out, and I've got the Cowboys and 49ers coming in.
Do I have the Saints dropping out? Who are my teams? Cardinals,
Seahawks, and Bears.
No, Cardinals, Seahawks, and Saints.
Last minute change.
The Bears was based off of no. In fact, no. Don't change it. Keep the Bears in because I just need something different. But the Bears.
The Bears.
I'm really hoping they do not leave it too late to put in Fields. That's I don't have. You know my problem. Okay, here's my problem with the Bears. Matt Nagy. That is my problem with the Bears because he doesn't do things that make sense. It's the same thing with Adam Gase. They just don't do things that make sense. You see that they're in a certain position. You see it, everyone else sees it, the media sees it, and everyone's saying the same thing, and they just do the complete opposite. It's like they are that stubborn child that knows what needs to be done, but because everyone has told them that it needs to be done, they're not going to do it.
I remember the time when Matt Nagy was one of the most sought after. I think after his first year with the Bears, like, oh my God, the Bears have made a massive leap. I think this is when they signed Khalil Mack, and it's like, they made it to the playoffs, rah, rah, rah. And now everyone wants Matt Nagy, but now it's completely flipped on his head. Everyone seems to want him out. Well, no. That's just sport.
Yeah, that's sport.
Cool. So we have got our 7 playoff teams for each division. We've got a couple of differences, which is good. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. We got the first proper episode of the year, of the first episode of the regular season coming out next week. We're going to make our predictions, make our picks
a bit later because we need to, because there's still people are floating around and moving. Teams are still changing their rosters and all that, especially for week 1, because that might change up until the last minute. But they've given them like a whole week now to really cut and mold their teams, and it's interesting how every day there's a drip feed of people moving, and people thought they were on like the 53 roster on Friday. But on Monday, on Tuesday, after a couple practices, suddenly they're out of a job again and someone else is in. People are seeing, everyone knows that people wait to see who clears waivers or is on waivers from other teams. But this is giving them an extra couple days to just sit back a little bit. And the people who you thought weren't cut, or teams that, kept quiet about their cuts because they hoped to put them on the practice squad, those are being caught now at a more frequent rate because people could just sit and watch the wires and all that and see where people are coming in. So
you're telling me someone can still snap up Tim Tebow? No, I'm joking. The first take already snapped him up. He's already on first take.
To be fair, let a team call Tebow and say, we've got a real roster spot for you. He will leave hot take in a second. First take in a second.
Anyway, cool. So that's it for That's it for the season predictions. Joel, any final words?
Here we go, Steelers. We got improvements. Let's go.
You're not making the playoffs. I had you would they have Steelers in my prediction? I had you guys 7-10.
We've been looking good. Our first units have been looking good.
You got to love this. I had the Steelers going 7-10, and a team down in Northern Florida going 8-8. I'm just saying, but yeah.
Hello. Are you okay?
Just saying.
Are you okay? Did I need to call someone?
Hello, help me! Right, I am underwater. Please, someone help me! I am underwater.
Have you hit your head? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. See you next week. Peace.